What's up everyone? I'm back with another video. Today, I have more fun builds for you to try in Elden Ring. You all liked the last one I made, so I have another for you guys. These are PvE builds that aren't the most optimized and don't do the most damage, but they are fun to use. I can't wait to try some of these in the DLC when it releases. With that being said, let's get into the first build. First we have the Knox Warrior build. The Knox Warrior is an awesome build using the Knox Flowing Hammer. This weapon has a basic hammer moveset. It's nothing crazy, but the Ash of War is where it shines. It's great at taking out groups of enemies, or stun-locking enemies with less poise. The Ash did great against Millennia here. One thing I noticed while fighting Millennia was that it took a while after the Ash of War finished. I didn't regain control of my character for a pretty big amount of time. I would try to move and hit Millennia as she got up, but I was still in the end lag from the weapon skill. The range on the skill is pretty decent. The hammer moveset itself isn't the best, but it can get the job done. Let's jump into the equipment. We have the Knox Flowing Hammer, of course, preferably at +10. Any seal will do for casting our buffs. For my armor, I am cosplaying as a fat guy with skinny legs. You can use whatever armor you want. The talismans for this build are Green Turtle Talisman, Ritual Sword, Shard of Alexander, and Ritual Shield Talisman. In the Physic Flask, I have the Spiked Cracked Tear for better charged attack damage, and the Strength Knot Tear. Now let's get into the stats. We have 60 Vigor, 20 Mind, 25 Endurance, 69 Strength Nice, 10 Dexterity and 10 Intelligence are not necessary, and 25 Faith for buffs. 10 Arcane is not necessary. I started with Wretch. I play on Xbox, so I don't have access to Cheat Engine. I don't have unlimited smithing stones and larval tears. I can't change my starting class and stats as much as I want. For that reason, I started as Wretch because it has equal stats. I plan to make more build videos, and I'm going to use this character save for them. The stats might not be optimized. You could get a little bit higher stats depending on the starting class you picked. Anyway, this is a fun build to try out. As you can see, I gave my best effort, but I was not able to beat Millennia. It was not the build's fault, I'm just not that good at Elden Ring. Next is the Dragon Samurai. I really tried to make a build like this work. I'm using the Dragon Scale Blade and Faith Incantations. You can use the Uchigatana instead with a lightning affinity if you want. I really wish there was an affinity that gave you lightning damage and a faith scaling. Then this build would be 10 times better. But there isn't, so we have mid-melee damage and mid-spell damage. You could use an Uchigatana with Flame Art affinity, and put all of you stats into faith instead of half dex and half faith like I have. But a lightning katana is a better cosplay. Even with pretty low faith, Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike still melts Placidusax. I'm using a variety of other Dragon Cult incantations, but Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike is the star of the show. With Frozen Lightning Spear and the Dragon Scale Blade with its weapon skill, you can proc Frostbite pretty quickly. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike is such a good spell. It carried me through this fight. The Dragon Cult incantations are all pretty good. The Dragon Scale Katana is also pretty decent. This build does well in the open world. For the equipment, I have the Dragon Scale Blade and the Gravelstone Seal. For talismans, we have the Godfrey Icon, Ritual Sword and Shield, and Lightning Scorpion Charm. Now let's get into the stats. We have 50 Vigor, 25 Mind, 25 Endurance, 12 Strength, and 42 Dexterity. It says 52 because I have the Dex Knot Tear on. I am only level 145 at this point. I would put the 5 other points into Faith or Dex. I have 50 Faith. The Intelligence and Arcane are not necessary. Overall, this build isn't the most powerful. The buff to Dragon Cult incantations from the Gravelstone Seal is very handy. Otherwise our damage would be pretty doo-doo. Like I said earlier, you could use a Flame Art Uchi or any weapon for that matter and go all into Faith. That would be more powerful on both the weapon and the incantations. But this is a lightning-themed build. These builds are about looking cool and having fun. But I guess being super powerful is also fun. At number 3 is the Clayman's Harpoon build. This is an intelligence build focused around the Clayman's Harpoon and Ice Spear. I have some spells equipped, because they do come in handy. It is always nice to have some ranged attacks. Ice Spear is a great Ash of War. It does good damage, has decent range, and does frost damage. We also have some frost spells like Glintstone Icecrag and Ajula's Moonblade. This build is versatile. You have great melee spears with a good dual-wielded moveset, and you have powerful ranged attacks in Ice Spear and our spells. For equipment, I have 2 magic Clayman Harpoons. My right hand one has Ice Spear. The other Ash of War doesn't matter. I have Lusat's Staff. The Claymen don't use any spells, but since we have 80 intelligence it makes sense to use some. You can use the Carrion Regal Scepter instead, if you want. Lusat's Staff makes sorceries cost more FP but also do more damage. For talismans, I have Godfrey Icon, Ritual Sword, Shard of Alexander, and Ritual Shield. I do not have the Magic Scorpion Charm on this save file. I would recommend using it though. I would swap it for Godfrey Icon, probably because we aren't using spells much. The one I would use most is Ajula's Moonblade. I don't think it can be charged. Anyway, for the stats we have 50 Vigor and 37 Mind. The helmet I have on boosts my mind by 1, so that's why it says 38. I have 20 Endurance, 12 Strength, 10 Dexterity, and 80 Intelligence. I have so much mind because Lusat's Staff increases the cost of spells by a lot. You could take a couple points put of mind and put them into health or endurance if you want. Overall, this is a fun, versatile build. Number 4 is the Rosis's Axe build. Rosis's Axe is a great weapon. I specifically chose to use this build for Radagon, because I knew it would do well against him. The Ash does really good damage against Radagon, and it was pretty good against Elden Beast. It was a very long fight at over 5 minutes for both Radagon and the Beast, but I got it on my first try. The Axe moveset is decent also. I have a staff and some spells too, but the scaling isn't great on them. We only have about 50 intelligence, so the damage is underwhelming. They are useful in the open world to have some range. Let's talk about the equipment. I've got Rosis's Axe in my right hand, and the Astrologer's Staff in my left. I have some dark armor on to go with the death theme. We aren't actually using any death sorceries, because they require faith and int. A death sorcery build could be interesting in the future to try out. I've never used them before, but if I did a faith in build, I have a feeling I would rely mostly on the Sword of Night and Flame. I haven't heard many good things about death sorceries. Anywho, my talismans are Green Turtle, Ritual Sword and Shield, and Alexander's Shard. Again, I do not have Magic Scorpion Charm, so I would recommend using it if you have it. For stats, 50 Vigor, 59 Strength, 10 Dex to use the Axe, and 50 Int. Rosis's Summons is a pretty good Ash of War even though it doesn't have hyper armor. If you get Staggered Pit of the animation, the skeletons will still hit. Our sorceries don't do much damage, but they are nice for utility. Carrion Phalanx is a good defensive spell. Finally, we have the Pyromancer of the Swamp. This is supposed to be like a Pyromancer from Dark Souls. I didn't have any armor that resembles that of the Dark Souls Pyromancers, so I am using Tree Sentinel armor. We have a hand axe like there was in Dark Souls, and fire spells. Giant's Flame, Take Thee, and Catch Flame are our main spells. We have powerful damage from range, and at close range. Our hand axe has Flame Art Affinity, and Flaming Strike Ash of War. It does surprisingly good damage, especially when buffed. With Golden Vow and Flame grant me strength, the hand axe does over 1000 damage, even without the Flaming Strike buff. The range isn't great, but it has a good move set. It is nice to have a melee option as an alternative to using spells. Let's talk about the equipment. As I said earlier, Flame Art Hand Axe with Flaming Strike, Erdtree Seal, any armor will do. My talismans are Ritual Sword and Shield, Fire Scorpion and Godfrey Icon. For stats, 50 Vigor, 39 Mind, 20 Endurance, 9 Strength and 8 Dex to wield the axe, and 80 Faith. Overall, this is a fun, versatile build reminiscent of Dark Souls. I would recommend giving it a try if you like using Faith Battle Mage builds. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe for more Elden Ring builds. I may make other gaming content besides Elden Ring in the future. I will make content on the DLC when it comes out as well. That's about it. See you later.